right, let's go. We might go over 12, like by 5, 7 minutes. I don't know yet, but we'll hope for the best. Okay, let's go. Three, two, one. Hey friends, this is Yan Kahn, and welcome to another great interview on the Undisrupted Summit, where I'm interviewing best-selling authors from the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, New York Times, and other places. Today, I have with me a great friend and someone who also wrote some really great words about my upcoming book, Undisrupted. Welcome, Rohit Bhargava.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy to be talking with you. It's always a pleasure.
Hey Rohit, you are the author of the Undisrupted series. Oh, sorry, the this sorry Rohit, I got lost here. The series is called Un.
Non-obvious.
No, no, sorry, I'm stuck with this on non-obvious. How many editions have you done now?
So that was a 10-year project where I did a new version every single year for 10 years.
10 years. Okay, I'm just gonna come back and then we'll roll again. Okay. Hey friends, this is Yan Kahn, author of Undisrupted, and you're watching the Undisrupted Summit, where I interview best-selling authors from the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and other incredible lists. Today I have with me a great friend, somebody who also wrote some great words for my new book, Undisrupted. I have with me author of the Non-Obvious series, multiple times award winner on a bestseller list. Please welcome Rohit Bhargava. Rohit, welcome to the Undisrupted Summit.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to chat with you.
Rohit, you're one of the people who have done so much incredible work in helping us understand where we are headed, especially with your non-obvious series that ran for many, many, many years. Help us understand what is the non-obvious series, first of all.
Yeah, it's meant to be a perspective on why we have to see the unusual and how any of us can do it. So when I started in this work, and you probably identify with this, people wanted to know what the futurist thinks. And so we get called in and we're supposed to be the smartest people in the room and bring all these pieces together and tell people what the trends are going to be. And that's fun to do. But as I started doing this and over this 10-year period, I realized that what I really had a lot of joy for was not just being the smart person in front of the room, but to teach people how to think in this way. And that's really what the non-obvious series became. How do you become someone who can see the non-obvious, who can see around the corner for yourself?
And you ran the series, the book came out consistently for almost 10 years, correct?
It was, in fact, exactly 10 years, and it was the most craziest thing you can do in book publishing, which is to take the same book with 15 trends every year and replace those 15 trends every year with brand new 15 trends and then republish that book.
Incredible. You know what? I really think if everybody just read one or two books a year, I would highly recommend your series because it'll give you a snapshot of what's going to happen, where things are headed. And it's so essential for businesses and leaders and anybody who's out there in a professional capacity trying to grow their organization, trying to create a business. You need to know the trends that are shaping the future. It is essential.
Well, we did something, I mean, really interesting at the tail end of that. So the series ran from 2010 to 2020. And in 2020, the book I published was called Non-Obvious Megatrends. And what it did was it took a look back over the past 10 years of all of the trends, which were more than 100 trend predictions, and said, well, what came true? What didn't? What can we learn from it? And what are these megatrends that will propel us into the next decade and beyond? And so that was a really interesting exercise because, first of all, it took 10 years of research and compiled it into something. But also, it was for me the end cap of this project that had taken 10 years of my life. And now I was sort of faced with the possibility of like, what do I do next? And it led me to do different sorts of trend research. So I published a few other books after that that took it to the next level.
So Rohit, you do a lot of things. Obviously, as a critical thinker, as a consultant, as a technologist, as a futurist, you're always thinking about where the future is headed. But you also run a very successful publishing company. You bring together authors. You get their works published. There's this whole process and whole thing that you've created that gets a lot of people talking about what they're passionate about, and it's out there in the world. You also have the awards that you do every year. Tell us more about how did that business come to be?
Yeah, there's a lot of different dimensions. So under the Non-Obvious brand, we've got the Non-Obvious Book Awards. We've got the Non-Obvious podcast. I've got a Non-Obvious newsletter, and all of it is aligned around this sense that we could do more to introduce ourselves to new ideas and be more open-minded as people, and that there's a real benefit to that in terms of being more creative and being more prepared for the future, especially as the future gets even more disruptive. So the Non-Obvious brand kind of is all about that. Along the way, I discovered that what I really loved to do was control all of these assets in a way that could get them out into the world and in the way I thought I should. And in order to do that, I needed to control the publishing. And so I started Idea Press as a publishing company, kind of for myself, and a little bit inspired by all these musicians like Taylor Swift and Beyonce, who were like, we don't need the labels. We'll just do our own thing and go directly to our fans. And that's what we created. And it was so successful that we had so many other authors who said, I kind of want to do that too. And so now we've done, over the last 10 years, a little over 100 books with some really legendary authors, and it's been amazing.
So, would you say, the whole purpose of the Undisrupted Summit is to get people to think about different things, learn from folks like yourselves who have started something, become best-selling authors in their genre and across, different genres. Is this a great time to do things that scare you? Is this a better time than yesterday? And why do you think today is a great time to do, things that you've been holding off?
I think it is always a challenge to do things that scare you for anyone. And it is for even people who are paid to be innovators and be disruptive by the nature of the work that they do. I think the underlying question is, how do you become a little more comfortable with that so that you can do it for yourself? And to me, the real place where I found a lot of my ability to do it was by trying to say something that I didn't hear everyone else saying. And I described it as being non-obvious, and it sort of became my brand, and we went and trademarked it and everything. But at the end of the day, what I was trying to do was be interesting enough so that I could be interested in the work I was doing. And I think that's partially what people struggle with, because they want to do something new and different and it feels risky. But at the end of the day, if you're showing up to work every day and you're bored with yourself, that's a sign.
With when I was writing Undisrupted, and I try to think about all the different ways the world is changing, how technology is shaping the world. Like there's so much going on, and because of so much change happening and a lot of distraction, these two things are happening at the same time. There's a lot of change and there's a lot of distraction that we have. It's hard for people to focus on, what I think they should be doing, their core purpose, their goals and mission and vision, and just hitting it and somehow becoming successful. That was kind of, what the book was all about. I really feel that if people think clearly, they can achieve anything. And this being a great time for, let's say artificial intelligence, automation, and, access to even publishing a book. You can publish a book on Amazon in a day, your book will be out, right? It's very easy to do things that would take ages and a lot of hard work. And I think some people still live in that mindset that it's really hard and impossible to do things. And I feel it's very easier to now go forward, take some steps, and then build things in a different way. What's your perspective on where are we headed, and how easy or difficult is it to, take an idea, ideate in the first place, come up with ideas? Maybe talk about your experiences if you're working with generative AI platforms or whatnot. Where are we right now?
Yeah, I think that it's never been easier than today to put garbage out into the world. And now you don't even have to generate the garbage yourself. You can auto generate it through AI. And I'm being a little sarcastic, but I'm also being quite serious in the sense that there's a lot of things that are published that are not good and that are meant to be distractions. And the challenge for all of us is that it obscures the things that are good, and it becomes more difficult to find those things that are good. And for any of us in our careers and in our work, this is the real challenge, because we have to be guardians of our own reputation to say, is this something I want out there with my name on it? Is this actually what I want to say? Because building a personal reputation for yourself, and some people call it a personal brand, is about the things that you put out into the world, the perspectives that you share, the content that you put out, the opinions that you have. And the way to be someone who people pay attention to is to really respect that relationship that you have to what you put your name on. And today, when it's become even easier to publish things faster and with less thought than ever before, that's going to be a personal challenge for any of us to have to stand and create our own metric for what belongs out there with our name on it. And that's not always very easy to do.
I love it. I love it. Your decisions could really change the fate of where you are headed. So tread carefully, but then there's a lot of different ways of doing things you need to do. You have a new book, Non-Obvious Thinking, right? And it's all about how do you see what others are missing, and how do you shift your perspective and be more non-obvious. Help us understand maybe some of the insights that you're sharing in the book, or how do you go about seeing things that others miss.
Yeah, this book was sort of my I jokingly called it my Star Wars moment because I published the prequel last. After I'd done 10 years of work publishing non-obvious thinking, publishing trends, I finally went back and wrote this book, which was how do you become a non-obvious thinker in the first place? Like, what do you do first? So, in theory, maybe I should have written this first, but it's sort of like Narnia. Like, you could read it out of order if you wanted to, or you could read it the original way. Like, either way, it's kind of up to you. But the main idea of this new book was, could we create a framework for anyone to become a non-obvious thinker? And the book introduces a four-step framework, which is using the acronym called SIFT. And the word SIFT is a really beautiful one because what it means is to isolate things that are meaningful or that are useful from things that are not. And the acronym stands for S, creating space, I, finding insights, F, creating focus, and the last one, T, is finding the twist and making it a new, interesting, non-obvious idea. And the book kind of goes through like, how do you do this? And it's very practical. It's illustrated. It's very easy to read. It's about a third of the length of most of my books. And so what I was really trying to do with my co-author Ben was introduce a book that would be highly readable, that would be easy to digest for people of any age, really, and something that would introduce this idea that in order to succeed in a disruptive future, we all need to become a little bit more of a non-obvious thinker ourselves.
I love it. Rohit, thanks so much for sharing your insights. Where can we find you, and where can we connect with you?
Very easy. You can get access to everything I mentioned off of nonobvious.com. You'll find out about the podcast there, the newsletter, all of the books, and you can also see some videos of me doing a lot of speaking and interviewing people.
Love it. Thank you, Rohit. Thanks so much for joining us today in this short, insightful session. Hey, folks, follow Rohit. He's an incredible authority on things that are changing, on innovation, marketing, and he is somebody I highly recommend you guys follow. Of course, grab a copy of his book, buy it, borrow it from a library, do whatever you need to do. But Rohit is somebody I really respect, so please check him out on his website as well, rohitbhargava.com. Rohit, thank you so much, my friend, and we'll catch up with you another time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, great. So that was part one. Thank you. I think that
Got it.
went well. You good with that?
Yes. Let me stop the recording so I have two different
Yeah.
files for you.